there, and welcome to our afternoon session of Hillsborough's GrateFall Retreat. If you're joining us again today, welcome back. And if this is your first time interacting with our retreat, welcome. You can easily participate in this session on the science of gratitude, whether or not you joined us this morning. Be sure to check out our retreat resources available there in the notes for some activities and some further reading possibilities after this session ends. This morning, we had the opportunity to think about the theology of gratitude, remembering the one healed leper from Luke who returned to Jesus to express his gratitude, causing us to remember that all of life's goodness and our very lives are gifts from God. Our very existence calls us to gratitude. As I mentioned already, this session pivots us to the science of gratitude. And this, like our first one, is a huge topic. Think of this session as an introduction to what scientists and psychologists continue to find in their extensive work on the role that gratitude plays in our mental and our physical well-being. We'll end with some practical gratitude practices you may choose to give a try. The science on this subject of gratitude is overwhelming. In study after study, gratitude has been shown to lead to stronger relationships, better sleep, lower blood pressure, fewer trips to the doctor, more patience, and more perseverance, among other benefits. So let's take a few minutes to look a bit more closely at these things. So if you do any research at all on the subject of gratitude, you will no doubt run across Dr. Robert Emmons. He's a professor of psychology at the University of California, Davis, and the founding editor-in-chief of the Journal of Positive Psychology. He's the author of numerous books on gratitude, and I've listed those in the retreat resources in case you want to pick one up. He's definitely the foremost thinker on gratitude and its impact on us. So our talk today is largely based on his work. So Emmons has a two-part definition of gratitude that I think is really helpful. First, it's an affirmation of goodness. We affirm that there are good things in the world, gifts and benefits that we have received. So this doesn't mean that life is perfect. It doesn't ignore complaints, burdens, hassles that weigh us down. But when we look at life as a whole, gratitude encourages us to identify some amount of goodness in our life. So he says the second part of gratitude is figuring out where that goodness comes from. We recognize the sources of this goodness as being outside of ourselves. It doesn't stem from anything we necessarily do ourselves in which we might take pride. We can appreciate positive traits in ourselves, to be sure, but true gratitude, he says, involves a humble dependence on others. We acknowledge that other people or a higher power, we would say God, gives us many gifts, big and small, to help us achieve or to receive the goodness in our lives. One of the ways Emmons encourages us to focus on gratitude is through the use of a gratitude journal. So this is something we've talked about now multiple times at Hillsborough, and I know it sounds so simple, but the act of recording the things that we're thankful for really does have an impact on us. So this Dr. Emmons conducted a study with more than 1,000 people from the ages of just 8 years old to 80, who kept a gratitude journal over just the course of a few weeks, and found that people who practice gratitude consistently report a host of benefits. So now you can see this list in our retreat pack as well, but here are the findings across several areas. So from the physical aspect, Emmons notes that these folks have stronger immune systems. They seem to be less bothered by aches and pains. Their blood pressure actually lowers. They tend to exercise more and take better care of their health. They even sleep longer and feel more refreshed upon waking. The second area that he focuses on is the psychological impact. So there seem to be higher levels of positive emotions. There are feelings of being more alert, more alive, more awake. They seem to experience more joy and more pleasure and have more optimism and more happiness. And then the third kind of area that he explores is the social aspect. And he cites that these people seem to be more helpful, more generous, and have more compassion. They seem to be more forgiving, more outgoing, and feel less lonely. And they feel less isolated. And of course, research doesn't just stop at the findings, even though these are some pretty huge findings on the effect that gratitude has on us. But Emmons also explored why gratitude might have these transformative effects on our lives. And so he holds up 4 possible reasons that I think are helpful for us to consider as well. So the first one is that gratitude allows us to celebrate the present. So that present moment that you and I are in right now. It magnifies the positive emotions. Research on emotion shows that positive emotions wear off quickly. Our emotional systems like newness, things that are new. They like novelty. They like change. We adapt to positive life circumstances so that before too long, the new car, the new house, the new job, well, they just don't feel so new and they just don't feel as exciting anymore. But gratitude makes us appreciate the value of something. And when we appreciate the value of something, we extract more benefits from it. We're less likely to take it for granted. Emmons says, in effect, gratitude allows us to participate more in life. We notice the positives more, and that magnifies the pleasures that we can get from life. Instead of adapting to goodness, we celebrate goodness. We spend so much time watching things, movies, computer screens, sports, but with gratitude, we become greater participants in our lives as opposed to spectators. So the second area is that gratitude blocks toxic or negative emotions, such as envy, resentment, and regret, emotions that can destroy our happiness. And this makes sense, I think. You can't feel envious and grateful at the same time. They are incompatible feelings. If you're grateful, you can't resent someone for having something that you don't. Those are very different ways of relating to the world. And sure enough, research has suggested that people with high levels of gratitude have low levels of resentment and low levels of envy. And number 3, grateful people are more stress resistant, which I know we could all use right now. There's a number of studies showing that in the face of serious trauma, adversity, and suffering, if people have a grateful disposition, they'll recover more quickly. Emmons believes that gratitude gives people a perspective from which they can interpret negative life events and help them guard against post-traumatic stress and lasting anxiety. And number 4, grateful people have a higher sense of self-worth. He thinks that's because when you're grateful, you have the sense that someone else is looking out for you. Someone else has provided for your well-being, or you notice a network of relationships, past and present, that looking back and looking around, of people who are responsible for helping you get to where you are right now. Once you start to recognize the contributions that other people have made to your life, once you realize that other people have seen the value in you, and they do, you can transform the way you see yourself too. Clearly, there are a lot of benefits to cultivating and living with gratitude, but that doesn't mean it's always easy. We mentioned that even in the first session. There is so much that can stand in our way. That's why we hold up gratitude as a practice, specifically for us as a spiritual practice. So you may be asking, well, why isn't it easy? Why don't we embrace a life of gratitude? I mean, there's so many benefits we've talked about. What might be standing in our way? So Emmons talks about these things. What are the kind of impediments to lives of gratitude? One is the self-serving bias. That means that when good things happen to us, we say it's because of something that we did. But when bad things happen, we might blame other people or circumstances. Gratitude really goes against the self-serving bias because when we're grateful, we give credit to other people for our success. We accomplish some of it by ourselves, yes, but we widen our range of attribution to also say, well, my parents gave me this opportunity, or I had teachers, I had mentors, I had siblings, peers, other people who assisted me along the way. That is a very different frame than a self-serving bias. Gratitude also goes against our needs to feel in control of our environment. Sometimes with gratitude, you just have to accept life as it is and be grateful for what you have. Also, gratitude contradicts the just world hypothesis, which says that we get what we deserve in life. Good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people, but it doesn't always work out that way, does it? Bad things happen to good people and vice versa. With gratitude comes the realization that we get more than we deserve. And let me say that one again. With gratitude comes the realization that we get more than we deserve. And this goes against a message we get a whole lot in our contemporary culture, that we deserve the good fortune that comes our way, that we're entitled to it. But if you deserve everything, if you're entitled to everything, it makes it a whole lot harder to be grateful for anything. So these challenges to gratitude are part of the reason that cultivating gratitude practices is so essential if we want to move beyond being occasionally grateful to becoming a more grateful person, to living a more grateful life. We've mentioned already gratitude journals. This would probably be my number one recommendation to you. There's a couple ways at least that you could keep your journal. One is to jot down each day 3 to 5 things that you're thankful for. The other is to pick a couple times a week to sit with your journal and with your thoughts, digging a little bit deeper over about, maybe 15 to 30 minutes to write a little bit more extensively about what you're grateful for. But either way, keeping a record of gratitude is proven to have both mental and physical benefits. Second, another simple action has been shown to be even more effective. Writing a letter of thanks to a friend, a family member, an acquaintance, or even a stranger. That's right. Thank you notes can actually change your life. We should reconceive the humble thank you note not merely as a way to inform others about how grateful we are, but also as a way to help strengthen how grateful we are in the first place. After this session, you'll actually be invited to write one of these letters of appreciation. And a third practice isn't only effective, it's downright fun. Getting together with a friend once a week, in this season of our lives, I'd encourage you to do virtually. This would be a time when you both intentionally devote at least part of the conversation to sharing what you're thankful for these days. When it comes to gratitude, just saying it out loud to someone that we like, someone that we respect, not to mention hearing what they're thankful for as well, is a powerful step toward noticing and even more deeply experiencing the blessings in our lives. In our retreat resources, I've listed more ways that you can kind of interact with gratitude practices that you may want to try out in the coming days and months. Be sure to check those out along with the other bonus content for this session. So I know that we have certainly just scraped the surface of the science of gratitude. I am, after all, not a scientist, but I hope that this time moves us from thinking of gratitude primarily as a kind of duty to discharge, effectively reducing one of life's wonders to mere good manners, to seeing gratitude as a vital force in the world, a profoundly dignifying act that builds relationships, that builds communities, and builds healthy human hearts. So thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, and I hope to see you back this evening, 7 p.m. We're going to have prayer and reflection. It's going to be a really special time, so I hope you'll join us for that. It'll be a perfect way to round out your day. I'm really looking forward to it. So take care between now and then, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.